Unless you're living under a rock, you're probably aware that Mbappé has officially moved to Real Madrid. It's a match made in heaven as both the player and the club have wanted this for more than 10 years already. It's literally a dream move, but will it translate to trophies in reality? In this video, I'll explain why I believe the Mbappé transfer to Real Madrid is a terrible idea and harrowing consequences that it might bring to the club. I know that right now you might think that I'm absolutely insane for saying this, but give me a chance to explain and then draw your own conclusions. For example, what were the strongest squads going into year 2024? England, France and Portugal, right? Well, did they win the trophy? No. And you can even say they got robbed or were unfairly eliminated. They didn't play well, and you can even argue that one of those teams made it much further than they deserved. Still, you could argue that those were national teams, and in those circumstances, coaches usually aren't able to effectively instill their ideas in the squad, since they don't have as much time with their players as club coaches do. Nevertheless, it's not only international football that the best teams on paper end up flopping. That has happened many times at the club level, and one of those instances is still so recent that even the youngest football fans should probably remember. Back in the 2010s, PSG went from a mediocre French club into a billionaire state-owned team that could rival the most historic clubs in the transfer market. Step by step, they evolved their squad with the ultimate goal of achieving Champions League glory until it finally looked complete. Donnarumma, the most valuable keeper in the world at the time, with the experience too of Sergio Ramos and Marquinhos in front of him, but the crown jewel was in attack. The club prodigy Kylian Mbappé would be flanked by the return of one of the greatest partnerships our generation had ever seen, Neymar and Messi. On paper, they were absolutely unstoppable. The Ligue 1 title was just a mere formality, while the Champions League was closer than ever. But in reality, their plan completely backfired. Messi was the missing piece, just like Mbappé is poised to be at Real Madrid, but his performances were absolutely underwhelming for a player of his caliber. La Pulga finished this season with 11 goals scored, a stark contrast from the days when he used to bag over 90 goals in a calendar year. Neymar missed 21 games, and even though Mbappé had 60 goal contributions, it wasn't enough to achieve anything more than the predictable Ligue 1 trophy. In the Champions League, the Parisians failed to top their group above Man City and then proceeded to waste a 2-goal lead on aggregate in less than 30 minutes. They couldn't win their domestic cup nor the Super Cup. A nightmarish start to a dream team that would be literally pushed away from their club by the end of the following season. But if PSG isn't a good enough example for you, I'll do you one better. Real Madrid has already went through the same thing twice, and while you could obviously say it has worked out well in the long term, as they're literally the most successful club on earth, that doesn't mean that Galactico moves equal to success. From 2000 to 2001, Real Madrid brought Figo and Zidane to the club, arguably the two best players at that time. While doing so, Florentino Perez kept Vicente del Bosque as the level-headed manager who knew how to keep every player's ego in check. And the squad was, in many ways, pretty similar to what you saw in the previous season. Despite having two of the best players in the world, nobody was playing out of position. There was cohesion between the players and defensive solidity. The problem rose when they went into overkill. Following their Champions League conquest in 2002, Real brought Ronaldo fresh off a World Cup win when they already had Raúl in the squad. Despite Ronaldo's fitness problems, Real still conquered La Liga, but cracks were already starting to show. However, when they brought David Beckham, the team became unbalanced, as either Figo or Beckham were constantly being forced out of position so that every star got game time. Perhaps even more ridiculous is the fact that Perez was in doubt between signing Beckham or Ronaldinho, and he went for the Englishman because the Brazilian was quote-unquote too ugly to play for Real. Florentino would not slow down, and he would even show the door to their best performing players if they didn't agree with the club's spending policy. The most notorious case was when Makelele was sold because Perez refused to improve his relatively low salary. Hierro, Morientes, McManaman, even their Champions League winning manager were pushed out of the club as if they were nothing. Perez also gave up on signing Samuel Eto'o for a small fee. Instead, he went for Michael Owen, who 1 season later was already out of the club. In an effort to have all the shiniest toys, Perez destroyed his own stable creation, as from 2003 until 2007, Los Merengues wouldn't win a single trophy. In 2009, Real went all in the transfer market once again. They broke the transfer record twice in the same window to bring Kaká, Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema and Xabi Alonso. The last two Ballon d'Or winners, the best young striker in the world and one of the best midfielders of his generation. And what followed this historic transfer window? Well, nothing. They were almost in the exact same place as in the previous season. Second place in La Liga, round of 16 exit in the Champions League and a fourth round exit in the Copa del Rey. So, what makes you think Real will crush everyone in their path? Sure, they've won the Champions League, but let's not kid ourselves. City pushed Madrid against the ropes and pretty much outplayed them in every way possible. A weak Bayern also stood their ground against them, and who knows what could have happened if Borussia converted one of the many chances they had up until the hour mark. Mbappé is undeniably a fantastic player. Maybe he'll even go down as the best from his generation. But for the past 4 years now, both France and PSG have played with systems to accommodate him, to bring out the best in him. How will he act when him being the star is no longer the priority? Will Vini Jr. and Mbappé have as much synergy as fans are hoping? Let's not forget they both prefer to play in the same position. It's not a huge issue since there isn't a true striker in the team, but the mental factor might play a huge role in their season. There's already a strong Brazilian block in the team. I assume Vini, Rodrigo, Militão and now Endrick have each other's backs. So what will happen if the team doesn't match the huge expectations that the fans are creating? You don't need to be a genius to assume that Mbappé will probably take most of that blame. I also assume that Vini, Bellingham and Mbappé want to win the 2025 Ballon d'Or, so don't you think their separate desires might get in the club's way? Look, I get the hype around this transfer. It's obviously something that was on the brink of happening for a long time now. It's kind of like the GTA 6 of football. But I think we should really analyze things a bit more before we enter a state of euphoria or complete doom if you're a Real Madrid rival. History has a funny tendency of repeating itself, so if we judge this transfer by what has happened in recent years, it will not translate into good results, at least not in the short term. But what do you think? Can Mbappé achieve more than Cristiano with a Real Madrid shirt? Leave your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Throne FC and turn on notifications so you never miss football videos that make you think twice about what you think is a fact. Thanks for sticking with me until the end, I appreciate you and I will see you on the next one.